Efecto Cascada.
Un podcast de Explora.
All right, so dear Explorers, welcome once again to the latest episode of Efecto Cascada, a podcast from Explora where we dive into the forefront of innovation, share insights from entrepreneurs, and uncover Cascade funding opportunities. So in each episode, we explore the latest trends in the digital stream, the arts, and transformative technologies that are shaping our future. So broadcasting from Pamplona, Spain, we aim to reach a global audience starting from European Union projects. All right, so I'm Paula Ostid, Communications Manager, and it's a pleasure to be your host for today's episode. As you may have seen, we are continuing with our remote and online podcasts. However, even if this one is in English, you can always just go ahead to YouTube and activate subtitles to understand it on a different language. All right, so today we are very excited to have Lija Groenewoud van Vliet, co-founder and creative director of In4Art, as our guests. So Lija is a visionary in the creative sector and plays a pivotal role in European Union projects, like, for example, Hungry EcoCities. So this is a groundbreaking project focused in integrating art and technology in the agri-food domain. So yeah, stay active and watch the full episode so you won't miss any details. So get ready for a provoking discussion on how art-driven innovation can transform the future of food. Are you ready? Let's get started. So welcome, Lija. Thank you very much for being with us today. How are you?
Thank you, Paula, for the invite. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias. All right, so could you introduce yourself a bit and tell me and the audience who is Lija, maybe share a bit about your background?
So my background is originally in innovation management. And from that, I always had a fascination for knowledge sharing within the innovation domain. So how do you make sure that when you go through an innovation funnel, the different actors that should be involved get the right knowledge, and that together you are stronger and not reinventing the wheel, but are able to progress in the different stages of an innovation funnel. And after working in research environments and within the startup environment, I actually came across a new type of experimentation, which I started to call the third source of experimentation. And that was for me the starting point to co-found In4Art, which is now about 10 years ago.
What actually motivated you to focus on the creative sector when it comes to innovation? Was there a specific momentum that drew you to this field?
Yeah, so it's this third source of experimentation. Let me position it a bit for you. So when we talk about experiments, then you could think about research and academics, which are always trying to find the truth within the knowledge. They do forensics and they're testing hypotheses. So let's call that the first type of the first source of experimentation. Then a second one, it's much more related to how the startups are exploring their problem solution needs. They are searching for propositions. They want to really find a value in validating their assumptions. And in that way, they're narrowing their funnel and have to find also a way to create profit on the short term to survive. And then if you would say like, well, what if I'm more interested in expanding the envelope of possibilities, about including ideas without a judgment from the beginning, but have more structure to have different maturities, clarities, and reasons to understand how a system works. That's where the third sort of experimentation comes in. And that's where art-driven innovation is based upon, because within the collaboration sphere between artists, scientists, practitioners, industry partners, universities, this artistic experimentation is a way of questioning, a way of bringing in different types of experiences. And what you actually do is you are creating a pathway for different choice findings. And at the same time, it's being enabled by prototyping these futures, because it doesn't only stay imaginary, it gives you also some tangible experiences. And that could support innovation practitioners in their decision making, because this questioning nature of artistic experimentation can show us also the broader value with different stakeholder perspectives that are embedded in certain technological or societal progress that we need.
And talking Infor-Art, your organization, how would you describe the mission of Infor-Art and what role does it play in promoting responsible innovation in Europe?
So the mission of InfoArt is to exactly explore this value of artists in relation to innovation. And we do that through setting up experiments and through learning by doing. To have like more cases on art-driven innovation. And we are luckily able to do that through these Horizon Europe, Horizon 2020, but also in STARTS initiatives, in local initiatives. And throughout the years now, we have over 50 case examples, and we're able now to start analyzing. So the coming period for us is also to focus on the outcomes of it and what place should it have within the innovation realm.
Right. Now that you actually mentioned Starts in the City, let's dive into today's topic and the project that we are covering, which is Hungry EcoCities, another initiative that's been quite involved when it comes to the START program. So could you tell me and the audience what's the primary focus of this project and how does it combine actually the third wheel that you were explaining, art with technology in agri-food sector?
Yeah, so within Hungry EcoCities, which is an Horizon Europe project, we want to apply this art-driven innovation method on the food sector in the context of the food system challenges. And we do that through small-scale concrete experiments by involving artists, food SMEs, so small, medium enterprises, our consortium members, which exist from university, creative studios, and we try to conceive, design, and execute together these innovation experiments that respond, on the one hand, to a concrete challenge that this food SME from the agricultural sector has, but also we are focusing on a mission-driven experiment on how to contribute to the larger food system challenges. And I think also that's what makes it a bit different from other programs or also incubator programs which are known in the startup world. It's because we have the possibility in this way to take a more system perspective and provide room for this questioning from the different perspectives. Then related to the technology, like when we were writing Hungry EcoCities, it was actually before like this big breakthrough on the large language models. And we're now amidst this artificial intelligence species exploration, because every time there are new species of AI being added, from generative AI to autoencoders. And we are actually exploring these new species as we speak by unraveling these territories. And that also comes with responsibilities of questioning what is possible, but also you need to stay up to date. So one example, one of the outcomes of the first batch of experiments in Hungry EcoCities, Vegetable Vendetta, was using generative AI to create on-the-spot images by holding a vegetable in front of the camera, and in that way seducing the public to eat more healthy and more vegetables. But since this generative AI field is transforming so quickly, we had to at least 3 times pivot and change our approach to it to really come to something that's meaningful and that could change also the way how we relate to this AI development. And that resulted in some kind of Robin Hood approach, like how can we empower and use this technology to give small and medium enterprises also a possibility to create these beautiful marketing campaigns without having these big marketing budgets.
All right, and what actually inspired the creation of this project?
Well, food is something we all need. It's an essential part of our living world. We feed with it. But at the same time, also food is in a difficult position because it uses a lot of land, it creates waste, it can lead to use and abuse of humans and animals. It deteriorates our soils. So it's a multifaceted domain, and it requires in that sense also a multidisciplinary and also visionary approach to come to paths to progress. And with that, the idea to include artists and creators in this journey, together with our art-driven innovation approach, was one of the inspirations, but mostly also like reading, like what could be approaches for this holistic part. So for example, books from Caroline Steele, which is Hungry Cities. So you already hear the reference, was very important for us. Like she is using food to define a good life and uses the lenses of history, ecology, technology, philosophy, and beyond. And that was a big inspiration for us to create a project where we could also provide practical examples for how could this look like.
Have you, throughout Open Goal 1 beneficiaries, have you been able to see this inspiration reflected somehow on solutions?
Definitely. If you look at the different type of prototypes that have been created in the first part, they go through the full value chain of the food. So you have them which are focusing on the food producers, but also that are focusing on the distribution, that are focusing on the processing or the consumers. And at the same time also it looks at things that are happening on the ground or underneath the ground even, or that has to do with the value, how we value the food, or how we perceive the food in the communication around it.
All right, so Hungry EcoCities is now on its second phase and it's centered on paths to progress experiments. So could you develop a bit further on this, and what are they and what do they aim to achieve?
Yeah, so the paths to progress experiments is really the work with the companies that matter in this field. So we have selected 10 agricultural SMEs, small and mid-sized companies, and they are located throughout Europe. So we have some in the Netherlands, we have in different parts in Spain, in Italy, in Greece, in Bulgaria. And these are the companies that on a daily basis, they plant, they harvest, they take care, they store, or they present food to us. And we believe that the only way that we can offer value is if these types of companies want the solutions that we're thinking about or the possibilities we offer, that they accept it, and also support the experiments in collaboration with artists on their challenges. So these part of programs, it's a way where we started with translating our studio visions within the program, our technical competences, also the artistic prototypes from the first phase, which they can test. And we're also adding new prototypes from the second phase with artists. And with all these possibilities, the idea is to solve the challenge of the SME, and in such a way that it could also have a wider impact and implication. So on the fields of that particular SME, but also if we take a bit of broader perspective, what does this mean for other SMEs working in the same fields?
Lija, what's your opinion? What are some of the key challenges facing SMEs nowadays when it comes to the agri-food sector?
I think there are many challenges related to the energy, the productivity, the land use, the emissions. But also if we look more from a societal perspective, the obesity, the malnutrition, the animal welfare, or for example, water use. And these challenges, they count for all kinds of companies, whether you're an SME or an industrial company within the food value chain. But what might be interesting to highlight is that these SMEs, they are very vulnerable. And the impact of a small change can be a threat for them and for the sustainability of that company. So related, for example, for water use, one of our SMEs is a fruit orchard. It's located in the southern part of Italy. And if that company would not have enough access during 2 weeks to water, it means a shift from being a front runner in sustainable agriculture, where they are now, to not existing because the full harvest would disappear. And yeah, with our experiments, we try to give them tools, knowledge, network to solve a part of these kind of challenges, because climate resilience is one of the challenges that the agri-food culture has to deal with.
So in the first open call, the artists that were selected, they had to explore the digital questions through a mix of technology and art. You already shared some examples, but is there an example related with AI applied to the agri-food domain?
Yeah, especially in the first open call, that was the idea. So in this case, the technology and the machine learning, mostly in the form of the large language models, that was the artistic tool that was used. So that was their paint or their marble. And the artists, they express themselves by using this technology, and in the multidisciplinary settings, start to question and decide how they could create another interface or create another calculating model behind it to create new kind of combinations that were not there yet. And we did that with sound acoustics. We did that with relating new kind of agents to large language models. Well, the generative AI example with creating videos, I already provided you with. And so there are many different ones. And actually, what they are doing is they are trying to explore this tool set. At the same time, many of them already have practices in this. So they're also showing us the possibilities. And what's also likewise important are the impossibilities of this technology. And literally showing possible worldviews for food to work with this through this technology. And it manifests in a website, a software or piece of hardware. And I'm happy to share the links afterwards so people can have a look at them, because they all have very nice videos, but also many are developed open source and are eager to search for possibilities to further develop them. And they have shared this information on the GitHub and on our specialized HackLab platform, which we are building for that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll spotlight them in some spot here, time slot, when it comes to the final video. But please, audience, make sure to follow Hungry EcoCities, the consortium, and InfoArt social media, so you won't miss any example and the Hall of Fame, basically, of the artists that were selected. All right, so as we were talking, this second open call for artists recently closed. What do you hope will emerge from the collaboration between the artists and the SMEs in the next phase?
Well, on the base level, exchange of ideas, knowledge, and worldviews, that's always good, but of course that's not enough. So we also want concrete paths to progress. That's why we call the experiments this way. And that means for us prototypes of products, system, processes that have been experimented within the program, within a collaboration between the artist, the SME, and the consortium, and tested within the program on the premises of this SME. Because only in that way we could understand the value of it for the SME, but also on a more mission level, what it would imply for the larger food system, and how can we also give that to a larger community.
All right, and talking Cascade funding, right? Because this podcast is, let's say, entirely dedicated to spread the word about it. What are the main benefits that Hungry EcoCities is offering to beneficiaries, and more specifically, the funding, right?
Yeah, so we had 2 different open calls. And the first thing, of course, within an open call is that you are invited to become part of our project. And that invitation comes with certain perks, we can call it that way. So you're going to get financial support to help you conduct the experiments. It's partly fees for your hours, but also to buy equipment, to perhaps subcontract certain parts. There is this consortium partners that have different types of knowledge and expertise. There is a dedicated mentor to you. And of course, there is already, in our case, the SME with whom you can collaborate. And in our case, both the artist as the SME is getting a compensation to work on this innovation, because we don't know yet what the impact will be. It's very early stage. We do have a hope for that. And I think that's also the wonderful thing of Cascade funding, because it enables us to find like these smallest entities we have in the European Union, individual artists and small SMEs, because the SMEs we're working with, some only have 4 employees. and have them part of these bigger EU programs and providing them the opportunity to work. I think it makes the work much more inclusive, and also it gives us the possibility to work with real practitioners in the field.
Could you share with us the initial outcomes that you've gathered and seen?
Yeah, so at this stage we have like 9 relatively functioning prototypes around technology readiness level 3 or 4. And some are going to 5. And in the coming year, we will show if they actually can make any impact in the field, because we're going to try to, we're now actually matching them to the SMEs to test them out, but we're also talking to other stakeholders. As a program, we also have an MVP for a matchmaking tool, which we are calling the Hack Lab. And we expect also that could have impact for innovators, creators in the future, also to match with future Cascade fundings based already on the prototypes and work you've done, so that you would get an automatic alert like this new Cascade funding is there and it fits with your capabilities to make that easier.
Very nice.
But of course, that also still needs proof, and we're developing it. And with the 10 SMEs, we've just started the journey, so it's very early, and we need to give these seeds much more time to flower and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Could you share with us this hub that you were commenting on, funding, Cascade funding opportunities that fit the profiles that register?
Yes, we are developing it, so it's not really in a beta version, and we tried it out in our second open call, and we've learned a lot from it. So the next months we're going to use to improve that. And then for sure, we really want to make that connection and explore also with you how that could be of benefit.
That's great. We'll definitely share it because I don't know if you're aware of it, but we do have Cascade funding search engine tool as well, where we offer daily Cascade opportunities. So we'll be more than pleased to share your tool with our audience. And by the way, is this just the sole methodology that you are developing for measuring an impact once the project is finished, or are you planning on something else?
So another thing that we are doing is we are creating prototype parks. We have already organized 3 of them, where we are really showing and also discussing with different stakeholders the outcomes of the project. And we have good hope that there will be scientific publications, but also follow-up and integration by other partners of prototypes and elements of our paths to progress experiments. And that with that we can contribute to this more fairer and sustainable food system.
Looking at the future, Lija, what advice would you give to innovators, artists, SMEs eager to engage to a Cascade funding project and initiative? Because we know that there's lots of innovators in our audience, but perhaps they haven't had the chance or the right moment that boosts them to apply.
Well, first of all, of course, follow and be informed with platforms like yours that support and give an overview of this. And then if you see a potential opportunity, read the brief very carefully. Because the people that create it, they put a lot of time in it, and they also offer interaction moments. And that's, I think, my biggest advice: make use of that. Take the time to ask your questions in that moment to really assess whether it fits your own purpose and aims. And only write to those calls if you feel a true match with your own purpose and aims and that of the program. Because in that way, it will be worth going through the questions to develop your own ideas or possibilities for that project, but also those of the evaluators. And with that, both the evaluator as you will be respected in that effort.
Okay, so we can, I guess, go to the next section, which is this little game that we have in Efecto Cascada. So let me explain you. I'll first ask you a question that the previous guest posed for you. and then you'll have the ball in your hands and you can just race it to the next one. So are you ready?
Yes, let's give it a try.
Okay, so your question comes from Ioannis. He's a previous guest from, well, the XR to Learn project. And he asked you, what's your favorite dish?
Ooh, my favorite dish would, I think, be a Bavarois cake.
Oh,
That's
wow.
something really
Fancy. That's fun. All right. Do you have any piece of advice? Doesn't have to be related with the project, or you can share anything with us.
Well, I think like the moment you work with other people and you find something that you're both passionate about, that makes it so much more fun and nice to work with. So always try to find each other's passion.
Definitely. And I imagine that, well, your experience working with the Hungry EcoCities consortium, for example, must have been really enriching, right? Because you get to work with experts and, well, everyone just fighting for the same goal. So it must be really awesome.
It's a wonderful learning experience. And I think that's one of the beautiful things of these EU projects as well, that you have the possibility for, in this case, a couple of years to look into the kitchen of these other companies, these other institutions, these other cultures, how they work, how they go about, how they think about it. And that's so precious and valuable.
Yeah, that you get to network and also work with well, different cultures, and we are all united, right? For innovation, I guess.
Definitely.
Okay, Lija, what's your question for the next guest?
Yeah, I took it very much from the Cascade perspective, the question for the next guest. So I had, do you consider the time and energy that goes into executing Cascade funding in like these funded programs in balance with the benefits of working with the innovator and artists?
Oh, that's nice. I hope that the next guest is aware of what Cascade funding is and so on. And if not, I can save it for I guess that's strictly
for the
working
Cascade funding partners. Yes, because I think it's an interesting debate. It's a beautiful mechanism, but it also a lot of time and attention goes to it. So it's interesting to hear the balance behind that.
Yeah, it's not everything. It's flowers, right? There's lots of work and lots of well, writing to do, researching. So yeah, it takes time, but at the end, it's worth it. Okay, Lija. So thank you very much for spending this time with us, sharing, well, your background, your experience, who you are, and most importantly, Hungry EcoCities and the agri-food domain. So thank you. It was awesome to have you here, and I hope that this evolves. Awesome. We'll follow you throughout all social media and see how everything evolves.
Thank you very much for inviting me, for giving this stage to Hungry EcoCities, and to the listeners for listening to this. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, so this brings us to the end of this episode of Efecto Cascada. Well, remember that you can find all these episodes on our different streaming platforms. This comes from YouTube, Spotify, and Amazon. So make sure to follow so you won't miss any Cascade funding opportunity, entrepreneurs insights, and so on. So yeah, until next time, explorers, it was great to have you till the very end. So thank you for that. And let's keep captivating the world of innovation together. See you.